Hi guys, thank you all for tuning in and welcome back to Sewing Clara. This is the second video in my short series how I make sectioned shirts, and today we're gonna make this one. So this is a perfect project for anybody who has some spare pieces of fabrics and who wants to use them up. So the back is made of plain black jersey, the front is sectioned, and the sleeves are made also of the camo. And I also threw in a little bit of orange jersey because I love this color so much. So if you want to know how I made this shirt, then please keep watching. These are the pieces for the shirt. So let's start here on the left. So that's the back part made of one piece. The front part is going to be made of two different fabrics. So this is the top front part and the bottom front part. I will also have lining for the front top part. So that's over here, but that is optional. You don't necessarily need that. These are the sleeves, and these orange strips of jersey will be the edging of the neckline, the sleeves, and I will also edge the bottom of the shirt with these. The sewing pattern we are going to use for our today's project is again this sewing pattern for basic sectioned shirts. Link is down below. Just a short recap, this sewing pattern is very versatile, can be used for both long and short sleeved shirts, and you can decide whether you want to make the shirt sectioned or not, since the pattern pieces can be easily aligned. And this is the pattern overview that comes with the sewing pattern. And the sewing pattern comes in total 11 sizes. It starts with 2XS and the biggest size is 6XL. For our today's project, we will have to make a few adjustments to the sewing pattern because we're gonna make different edging around the neckline, on the bottom of the sleeves, and also on the bottom of the shirt. The sewing pattern comes with seam allowance, but we're gonna be sewing on strips of orange jersey, and that means we have to take the seam allowance away on certain places. The first place we have to cut it back is going to be here around the neckline, so on both the front and the back part. The second place is gonna be here, the bottom of the sleeves, and then also the bottom of the shirt, unless you don't mind that once you have sewn the strip on the bottom that the shirt would end up being a little bit longer. That is up to you. Now there are two possibilities how to do that. Either you print these pieces that you want to adjust again, and then you simply cut back the seam allowance, and that's a very easy way how to do that. Or you place the pieces on the fabric and you simply outline everything with a sewing crayon, and then when you take the pattern away, you make another outline around the neckline, for example, that's a little bit more inwards. That's also a possibility, a little bit less work, whatever is for you more convenient. The first step is to pin together the front parts. So this is the top front part. I put it upside down and the wrong side is facing up. And underneath it I have the bottom part, that's the top edge, and the right side is facing up. So when I place the camouflage part over it, the right sides are facing each other. If you are working with just one layer for the top front part, that's pretty much it. But I will have a second layer from the inside, and that is here beneath all this. So the right side is facing up. It's also upside down, just like the camouflaged part. And I will align it nicely with both the bottom section and the top front part made of camouflaged fabric. And I will pin everything in place at an angle, like so. I will make sure that the edges are perfectly aligned. Here is what it looks like, and now I will go to my sewing machine and I will sew this together with stretchy overlock stitch. And then it should look like something like this. If you want to, you can go ahead and cut back here the excess fabric, but you don't have to because this is gonna be hidden inside between the layers. But I did it anyway for the sake of the tutorial. Now let's open these pieces. So I'm gonna fold the lining upwards, and then I'll fold over it the main fabric. And this looks really nice from the other side. You can see the seam, so this is pretty clean. What I like doing is I like pinning these sides together, at least on one place, and putting a few pins here around the edge, just to hold it nicely, neat. I always smoothen the top fabric over the bottom fabric and make sure that nothing will end up being wrinkled, because then the result is gonna be as nice as possible. And now that these sections have been sewn together, we can work with it just like with any other shirt if that were just one layer. So we will pin it together with the back part. So this is easy. I will simply place the back part on the front part. I will align the edges nicely, and I will make sure that the right side is now inside, facing the right side of the front part. And I can remove here this pin and put it back in with the back part. And I will continue pinning the side edges in place. And I'm gonna pin the shoulders a little bit differently together because I want the seam to be hidden so that it looks like this. Basically the same way it looks here on the bottom. And here is how it goes. So first I will place pins here. So this is the main fabric for the top front, pinned together to the back part. Right sides are facing each other. Here we have the lining. The right side is facing up now. I will turn it outwards like so. And then I will place the right side of the lining to the wrong side of the back part. And I will pin it in place. And when it will be sewn in place, all I have to do is to fold it backwards. So I'm gonna turn it here again. This is what it looks like when everything is pinned in place. And then I fold it over. Let me do it on the other side again. So the front top part is aligned with the back part. I'll put in 2 pins for the time being. And then I will fold the lining upwards. The right side is facing up. I will turn it outwards and align it like so with the back part. See? Let me do it again. To the side, and then align it with the back like so. And the right side of the lining is now facing the wrong side of the back part. And I'll make sure that everything is nicely aligned. And I'll put in pins at an angle. Alright, so the shoulders and the sides of the top are pinned together. We can also pin together the sleeves. And now I will go to my sewing machine and sew everything together with stretchy overlock stitch. Now that everything has been sewn together, I will go ahead and cut back the excess fabric and all these loose threads. Now that the edges are clean, we can pin in the sleeves. So I already turned the sleeves to the right side, and we will leave the shirt turned to the wrong side. I always like making a little cut on the top of the sleeve where the pass mark is on the sewing pattern. And I also always make a little cut somewhere on the front part of the sleeve, because that way it's easier to know to which side the sleeves have to be pinned. So I'll put this one to the side for time being. I will take this sleeve, this is for this side, and I will align here the seam of the sleeve with the seam of the shirt, and I will make sure that the excess fabric of the shirt is facing into the opposite direction than the excess fabric here on the sleeve, so that I don't have too much fabric in one place. So I'll put in 2 pins here. Then I grab the sleeve and align the little cut that I made where the pass mark was here with the shoulder seam on the shirt. I will put in a pin, and then I will start pinning in the rest of the sleeve. Now both sleeves are pinned in place. I made sure that all these edges are nicely aligned, and now I will sew the sleeves in place with stretchy overlock stitch. So the sleeves are sewn in. I will grab my scissors and cut back here the excess fabric. Before I'll go on and start edging the shirt, I always like to align the bottom. So we have the seams of the shirt now in the center, and I straightened everything, and then when I look at here the edge, I think I could cut it back a little bit to make it a bit straighter. So I'll put in a pin, and I'll make here a little cut that's almost too close to the pin, so I'll remove it. And I find that the edge is now much neater and cleaner. So I can remove the pins and we'll turn our work to the right side. And now I will grab all these strips of jersey. So I have one very long strip that's for the bottom. Then I have one medium long that's for the neckline, and these 2 shorter ones are for the sleeves. So let's start with the sleeves. The way I like doing it is always folding the strip in the middle, and I place it a little bit over the seam, and I will start pinning it in place. And you can see that the 2 edges are aligned with the edge of the sleeve, and I'm pinning it to the right side. Now I came to the end and I made sure that this overlaps over where I started, because I didn't cut exactly the amount I need. It's written in the pattern overview, so that's gonna make your life easier. But I wanted to show you how to do that if you would work on a sewing pattern for something, and if you would decide to edge it this way and you wouldn't have the exact measurements. So you have to make sure that the ends overlap. Then I remove a few pins here before I'll continue doing anything else. And I always align this and like so. And then I'll sew it together with straight stitch. I pinned the orange jersey also to the second sleeve and to the bottom, and everywhere the end of the strip is simply pinned in place like so at an angle, so that I can sew the ends first together with straight stitch. And now I'm pinning also to the neckline, the orange jersey. And what I like doing is here around the rounded section, I like very slightly pulling on the strip that I'm pinning to the edge of the neckline, ever so slightly. You don't want it to make any ruffles, but I find that that keeps the neckline nicely shaped once the piece will be finished, and it will not stretch out. Another option would be to iron on edging interfacing around the neckline first, and that will also make sure that it wouldn't stretch out. But this works really well for me. I don't need any additional material. It's just a little bit more work, and the result is always very nice. So I will continue pinning this strip around the entire neckline. I will be slightly pulling on it only here when it's really rounded, and then we'll take it from there. Alright, so I finished pinning the strip around the neckline. Now I will go to my sewing machine and I will swap the yarn to orange yarn. And first I'll sew together the ends of each strip. Then I'll pin it back in place again. And then I will sew the strip on each section where it's been pinned with stretchy overlock stitch. Here is what the edge looks like, so I'm gonna fold it inwards and I will place in pins at an angle. Here is what the bottom edge looks like once it's been pinned in place, and here we have the top. How you finish up is entirely up to you. You can go ahead and sew around the edges with stretchy straight stitch. That will look really neat, or you can also use stretchy zigzag. I personally will go and use my cover lock. And when it comes to the color of the yarn, here I could use, for example, black yarn, dark brown yarn, but I'm gonna use neon orange yarn because I wanna add the contrast. And this is the final result. So that's how I made this version. I personally absolutely love this color scheme. I just find that camo with orange and black is so beautiful, and I can't wait to start wearing this shirt. So anyway, as I mentioned at the beginning, the sewing pattern is available on my homepage, and in the next tutorial in this series we will be working on the first long-sleeved version. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate you guys very much, and see you soon with my next project. God bless you. Bye.